Yelena Shuknyuk was one of the engineers.
Я сначала не знала. Думаю, ну что такое? Вот шатает вот так вот паровозы и вагоны, все.
The German front line had already reached Yefremovka station near Moscow by the time I got there. Then the engines started to shake. Large caliber shells were flying right over our heads. Shells that size created a vacuum, and the engine and coaches would shake back and forth. As I pulled into the station, I picked up speed. Then I saw the aircraft overhead. I thought, they're going to bomb us now, and I slammed on the brakes. The bombers had counted on my moving fast, and they missed me. All the bombs exploded ahead of me, and the train was safe. Sometimes, though, it didn't work that way. Just as I hit the brakes, they dropped the bombs. I think of that as my contribution to the war effort and to victory. At Stalingrad, I was burned all over when my train was hit. All the dresses I had with me burned, too. I had nothing to wear but my uniform.
In the first 6 months of the war, 1,500 military plants were snatched away from the Germans. Train after train steamed into these alien lands that were still Russia, the Urals, Central Asia, Siberia. It was like moving the industry of Illinois to Alaska. Vast, rich, peaceful, the new land stretched forever. 500,000 passenger coaches, 2,700 a day for weeks on end, rattled through from the west, from disaster to security. The range of the Luftwaffe, their enemies now were time and shortage of materials. In the first year of the war, nearly 10 million people were resettled in the East, the biggest migration in the history of mankind. After the first welcomes, there would be occasional conflicts, inevitable in a movement of such magnitude. But together they worked to get the plants back in production, in factory buildings that did not yet exist. The earth of Siberia was iron hard. They had to blow it open to lay the foundations of the new factories. Concrete and steel were in short supply, but they worked through the night by the light of bonfires and torches. In the Siberian winter, the workers' hands froze to the metal of their shovels. They built a total of 2,000 new plants in the Urals and Siberia. More than one a day before the war was over. Some kinds of production had never been seen there before. The East was no longer a new frontier. It was the Soviet Union's industrial heart. Factories came before homes for the immigrants. Strangers from the West, the people from Moscow, Kiev, the Don Basin, Leningrad, shared what was available until their new cities could be built. Composer Sergei Prokofiev and director Sergei Eisenstein were among the immigrants. They were making a classic movie, Ivan the Terrible, the story of a 16th century Tsar whose wars had made Russia a power to be reckoned with. It appealed to the people's patriotic feelings in their bitter struggle against the Nazis. They filmed it in the deserts of Kazakhstan. In a growing flood, the weapons of war rolled westward from Siberia.
This monument is not to a person, but to a plane, the IL-2. The IL-2 is one of the planes assembled mainly in the East. At the outset of the war, there were fewer than 100 such aircraft in the Soviet Union. By war's end, 41,000 had been built. The inscription at the base of the monument reads, "We needed these planes as badly as we needed air, as we needed bread." The plane is a tribute to the determination of the Russians to gain superiority over the Nazis.
Design bureaus and research institutes had come east with the war plans. They produced and tested the machines that would prove superior to what the Germans could send against them. The Soviets had some brilliant aircraft designers. Yakovlev, Tupolev, Navochkin. Sergei Ilyushin, designer of the famous IL-2, better known as the Sturmovik, was a ground support aircraft. The engine and the cockpit were heavily armored. The fuselage was built of wood. It was difficult to destroy and easy to repair. The Germans christened it the Flying Tank. In action, the Sturmovik was formidable, especially against Hitler's panzers. The directors of this gigantic new industry had myriad problems. They'd lost much of their high-grade steel capacity when the Ukraine was overrun, and 60% of their coal in the Donbas. Dmitry Ustinov was a defense commissar at the time of the great move to the east. As such, he was one of the leaders who organized the industrial effort. Later, he was to become defense minister of the Soviet Union.
Я в те годы, молодой инженер, был назначен партией на пост Народного комиссара вооружения. И сейчас я с большой теплотой и гордостью.
In those years, I, a young engineer, was appointed by the party to be People's Commissar for Armaments. And today I recall with great warmth and pride the concerted and selfless effort made by all the collectives of workers, engineers, designers, by all those who worked so heroically to forge the arms of victory, and with whom I worked shoulder to shoulder. Yes, indeed, the conditions really were most difficult. And yet, despite the occupation of large areas of the country, we succeeded not only in increasing the output of arms and materiel, but also in achieving both quantitative and qualitative superiority over the enemy's armaments. During the war, all Soviet people, whether at the battlefront or on the home front, were inspired by one thought alone: to defeat the enemy. Success on the home front engendered victory at the battlefront, and the line of battle ran through the hearts of soldiers in the trenches and workers in the rear.
Который проходил через сердца солдат на передовой и тружеников тыла.
In an incredibly short time, the new weapons began to come off the assembly lines. Production was concentrated on a small number of designs.